This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling.
What up? It's your boy Phil Porto, aka Phil All Caps of the Knicks Nightcap, and we are back with another episode 17. Wish we would have done a lot more this season, but life got complicated, life got crazy. But we're here consistently week in and week out in the playoffs. And right now, I'm joined with my guy right now, Mr. Apollo, and my son is in the window nagging me to death. So I'm going to go see if he's okay while Apollo gives a quick little intro.
Welcome to the Knicks Nightcap show. I wish we were here in better terms. I know a lot of people have avoided a lot of Knicks conversation and talk and diving into the game because it just wasn't a good feeling. So it's gonna be a tough one to talk about, specifically because I think we did a lot good, but clutch is when it matters. You know what I mean? So yeah. Shout out to the chat. Nostalgic Nick, what's going on, my guy? Peace to you. Phil, talk to me, man.
My son cruising, bro. Like, I told him, bro, I'm in the other room. Mom's gonna be home in like 15-20. The show's starting. She forgot about our time change. Like, if you need anything that's important, please come to the room. He's there. He's knocking. He's like waving. Dad. I'll get out there. He's like, I thought Mom was coming home. Where is she? And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
boy, you better go to the room. Like, what's going on? Like, for real, it's been 12 minutes.
I know all too well, man.
To the chat, my guy Nostalgic Nick in the building. Appreciate you. My guy JT Riddick in the building. Appreciate you. You guys can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also retweet this. I know at this point people have been talking Knicks to death, in frustration since last night. But we're gonna just chill for about an hour 15 and chop it up. Eru will be here in a little bit, got stuck at work, but he'll be here in a few. We will be going over this beautiful bottle of bourbon right here, the 15 stars, fine aged bourbon, 13-year, called the Timeless Reserve. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bottle of whiskey. So we'll be chopping it up in a few minutes about that. But yeah, it's funny, since the last time we talked, we were on kind of cloud nine, bro. Like, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since my childhood. It gave us a lot to celebrate. The city of New York was erupting and going crazy, and everybody was on cloud nine. Everyone was having their time of their life. I was hearing Knicks in 4, Knicks in 5, chants everywhere, and seeing all the craziness come about. And, I was excited. This is the first time we've had something to celebrate like this as Knicks fans. And the celebration kind of took a big turn last night. Very, very big turn. But let's just talk about like where you were at, how you felt when you saw that we had eliminated Boston and we were going into the Eastern Conference Finals. What were your thoughts, Apollo?
I mean, it was the first time since, like you said, my childhood, since I was 12 years old at that point, since we've been at this point. And I just, it was almost like, is this real? You know what I mean? But then it's like you start to get hyped because it's like, we're in the Eastern Conference Finals and we beat the defending champs to get here. You know what I mean? It's not like, we have to face the defending champs in the Eastern Conference Finals. We already beat them. Yeah. So that took the hype to another level for me, because it's not like, whoa, now we have this confidence as, Knicks fans, like, listen, if we beat the defending champs, then we can beat anybody, So that's where I was. That's where I was going into in between this, after beating Boston and the way we beat them, it was a beat down. It was
Yeah.
pretty bad. Um, so yeah, I was hyped. I was on cloud nine, bro. Cloud
Yeah.
nine.
And I feel you, and I'm stoked because Ebru has made it. He's in the back, about to bring him up. But that's where I was. I was just excited to get there. I was excited to celebrate something with my boys. That I haven't seen in a really really long time. Share that moment with them. I'm getting texts from all my friends that are different fans of all these other teams. Like, yo, bro, congrats! I know how much this means to you. Um,
Mhm.
and it just meant something to me. It was so special to get to the Eastern Conference Final, and like you said, the way we did it, like it wasn't like we won by 2 or 3, by 15, by even 20, where people were like, "Yo, it's only because Jason Tatum wasn't there. If Jason Tatum was there, you guys would have lost." Like
Right,
no,
right.
like it would have taken Jason Tatum, the 12 disciples, Gandalf, Harry Potter, and a whole
Uh-huh.
bunch of other people to secure that win. So,
Mhm.
so I was thankful that we did it in that fashion. And I had a lot of expectations going into this next round. So, what up, Eru? We're talking
Yeah.
about how we felt when we finally made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, what's good, guys? How you felt as far as like
Okay.
once you
Yeah, like
find
when
out?
we beat Boston and you realized, holy crap, this team actually did it.
It it's gonna sound stupid. I mean, most of the stuff we say sounds stupid, to tell you the truth. But I mean, like, I just remember like the birth of my son. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the feeling. This is like, oh snap! Like we did it again.
Yeah,
But like
yeah,
I've been there before. With other teams with the Knicks. Like back in the days. But so it felt like I had my second set of kids because I have a second group of kids. And I have an older son that's like 21, and it
Mhm.
was just funny. That was like damn near the last time the Knicks were good back at that time. And then now I got like a 11 and 9-year-old. So it was almost like the feeling that, oh man, we here type of thing. It was pretty cool.
Mhm.
yeah. No, I love that, man. Like for me, that's one of the biggest feelings for me is like I'm actually watching it with my boys. We're making memories, we're making moments, and just seeing fandom be on one accord. Like it was crazy. I don't know if that's kind of gone out the window. Um, but at the end of the day, uh you had Nick's Twitter becoming friends, people that hate each other, like State and Homer,
Mhm.
who have wanted to fight each other for like the last 3 years.
Right.
Just like, yo, we said that if we ever made it to the Eastern Conference, we'd both swallow our pride and we'd talk this out and we'll move along. And they actually did. So it was pretty cool to see. But I do agree right here with my guy Nick Loyalty right here. He said the Boston win was good, the premature final was premature. And it's true. Like we got really really excited. It was like, it's like when you get to a restaurant and you finish your appetizer, and you're not really like starving anymore. So it's like, regardless of the fact that you ordered an entree, you're looking directly at the dessert menu, like, all right, this is how I'm finished the night. And it's like, oh, you haven't even ate your main course yet. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you still got the thing that you're going to pay the most money for coming up. You better be, leave some room in that belly. I don't think we left room for our belly, for this Indiana Pacer team.
Facts.
Unless you're greedy like me, I'm already looking at what I'm going to eat after we leave the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I don't want to jump ahead of your thought process, but I mean, I feel like people need to celebrate how they want to, because like just to bring up the kids again, my first son was born in 2003. You know what I'm saying? So I would never in a million years think that I would get married and have more children. So fast forward another 10 years or so, I ended up doing that again, and then never I thought that would happen. You know what I'm saying? So this new journey that I'm on is incredible. So I just say that to say as an example is that like you never know when you're gonna get an opportunity to experience something like that again.
Yeah.
Because you might end up, so just to use the marriage thing, you can get married again. Like let's say you have a bad relationship and then end up getting married later, and then your wife might be sterile. You guys just might not be compatible. You can't have children. So
Mhm.
you don't know if those are in the cards for the future. So right now, since the Knicks are here, that we need to celebrate everything. I just don't think that it's nothing is like silly or too much. You know, I think you just go for it because you never know when if it's ever gonna
Yeah.
happen again.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. I mean, celebrate the moment, but don't celebrate moments that haven't happened yet. You know, like that's too far, you know, like so there's two things that Knicks fans, I feel like if you're watching, take notes. First, celebrate what you've done. Don't celebrate what you haven't done yet, you know, because you might not do it and then it's going to look silly come, you know, a few weeks from now. Second, can we realize that these Trae Young like chants should have been done years ago? Like, if you are still a Knick fan, you know, chanting about Trae Young, like, hello, we just beat the freaking Celtics, you know, like, why are we still talking about Trae Young and the Hawks? It's time to move along. I said this last playoff series, so it's sad that I have to say it again this playoff series. But if you're still talking about Trae Young, like, come on, let your fandom develop a little bit. Move past that. Like, stop talking about Trae Young. Stop talking about Durant wishing that he came to the Knicks. Like, we've moved past that. We're gone. Let's keep on going.
You know what? I know what I realized about that. As Nostalgic Nick said, those are kids saying it, and what makes sense to me that the kids are saying is that's probably their biggest memory as Knick fans.
Word.
Like that's probably when they really became Knick fans, when they were out there yelling Trae Young. You know what I mean? That was so to them, that's like the Reggie Miller to a lot of the old school Knick fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to us, I don't understand it. Like leave it alone. Like I'm sick of it. When I hear it, I get annoyed. Only because when they do it to him, if he's having a bad game and they start saying Trae Young, it wakes him up.
Does better.
It wakes him up. I'm like, bro, you guys don't learn yet. Like just be quiet.
Yeah,
leave it alone.
It's a high school type of thing because you know when somebody makes a joke and it's funny, not everybody's gonna make the joke. You know, like every time something comes up, they're gonna tell the joke like nobody told before.
Yeah.
You know, because they already know the result is gonna get. So that's what it is. Just high school stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like my 7-year-old. He'll say something and we'll die laughing.
Yeah.
And he'll keep saying it over and over and over. And like after like 40 minutes, you're like, buddy, it was funny 40 minutes ago. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like we got to move past it. Like the day's gone. You know, we've already watched 2 episodes of like, you know, Bluey or whatever. Like it's time to keep going. But you know, it is what it is. But let's talk about one thing first before we start talking about Knicks and talking about the game. I am super frustrated and annoyed to know that OG Anunoby did not make either of the all defensive teams. Like when they dropped the news of who won, I was a little bit shocked and a little bit frustrated. And not even just like, oh, that's it. But like he had total 49 votes. And the least for winners were 65. There is no way that you can watch this next season and say that he should have been over like, you know, what is it? 45 to 65, like almost 49, like 16 points lower than the last person on the second All-NBA defensive team. Like that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever when you watch the Knicks season. And I just feel like it's once again the Knicks not getting the credit that they deserve. What are your guys' thoughts on those decisions? Did you guys see the list?
I'm looking at it right now. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me look at it because I didn't see the second team.
Well, the second team, I see somebody that I'm not even familiar with. His name is Tuamani Camara. I don't think I've ever seen him play.
Kamara.
Yeah. Or at least I don't remember seeing him play. You know, Amen Thompson, you know, he's pretty good. His brother's good too. So I mean,
yeah,
you know, I could see that, you know, but I don't know.
But to think that he didn't make that second team is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, I think he deserves to even be considered for the first team, but to not even make the second team, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
That's come on, man.
I mean, when you think about defensive players, you think about players that you fear defensively. Like I'm just looking at some of these guys. I'm not sure if I particularly fear any of these type of people. You know, not necessarily like for me, but just like their peers. You know, I don't think anybody talks about, oh man, I gotta get some rest because I'm gonna play against this demon,
Right?
this crazy guy,
Like
So
he's called the demon.
Jalen Williams, I'm cool with. Rudy Gobert, I expect. Jaren Jackson Jr. He's borderline at this point. At one point, he was really, really good. I think he won Defensive Player of the Year at one point. Ibaka Zubac, Tamani Kamara, like, have you watched a Knick game this year? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Maybe it's the analytics and the numbers that we're not seeing. I don't know how you have. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, bro.
Yeah,
very weird.
Yep.
Strange.
Nick Loyalty agreed. He said that kid from Portland is a reach. Like that's one of those things. Is like, come on, like there's not a single household name that hasn't heard about the defense of OG Anunoby this year. Not at all. Like so the fact that people are like, yo, how did this guy even get in the contention? Like it just shows how many people are against the New York Knicks when it comes to actual decision makers in the NBA.
Yeah, like winning doesn't play in the fact to that, because I mean it plays into other awards, so winning doesn't play into the defensive player.
Yeah, like that's very odd, because I know Portland was a lottery team this year, weren't they?
Yep. Let me give a rundown to the chat real quick, but that's a great point, because you don't see people that are like playing elite offensive games by themselves being considered MVP when they can't even get past the first round of the playoffs. Like, no one's talking about that, so why would they allow it for something like this? Doesn't make any sense. But I'll give a shout out to my guy Nick Royalty in the building. Appreciate you, my guy. Prezi the boss, top moderator of moderators. Love that dude right there. Prezi, you're going to want to watch. This is a good one right here, my guy. This is a very good one for my fellow bourbon lover. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. Shout out to David Smith in the building. He's upset as can be, but a lot of his reasons for being upset make a lot of sense, and we're going to talk about it. My guy Nick Loyalty in the building. T. Williams is here. Appreciate you so much. The Predicate. Haven't seen you in quite some time, so appreciate you being out here as well. We got... who else is up in the building that recently snuck on through?
I think I saw my godbrother in there.
Yep, see Buzzer Beater up in here. Appreciate you so much.
Sky Mason. Sky Mason. Yeah. So shout out to Sky. My godbrother came in the chat for a second and dipped out probably. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah. So let us know your guys' thoughts on if there are any other players that you felt like OG should have beat out for that. Sky, appreciate you as always for being in the building. If you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share it on Twitter. Like we said earlier in the season, like it's been kind of hard for us to go consistently and rebuild what we had at the old network. But we're really trying right now in the playoffs to give our all and commit to you guys. So if you guys like what you see, please show support. Any contributions, whether it's a post, whether it's a YouTube super chat or whatever it is, that'll help. That'll show us that you guys want us back for next year. And that'll help us to just contribute doing what we're doing. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts in the chat on OG Anunoby? Hey, are y'all worried about OG Anunoby? I feel like that man is hurt. His defense wasn't on par yesterday. I'll say that. One thing that, and this is a good transition. So the other day, guys, I was on the KOT pre-show for the series. Me, Lee, our guy Ryan G was able to make it. Jay Ellis, Ebony, all of us were there. Our guy Fritz. And we talked about like our keys to the series. And there was a few that I touched on. And the first for me was we needed to see Mitch play the same way that Mitch played that Boston series. Like, we need Mitch, his defense, his effort. That play that he had against Boston where he covered 5 freaking offensive players in one scheme, like that just made me go, okay, maybe I need to shut my mouth about putting this guy even in trade talks. Like, if he can actually do that when he's healthy now, like, he looks different. He doesn't look slow anymore. Like, it looks like he's coming into himself. I was like, all right, props. We need that from Mitch. Second, I said that we needed each player to contribute on defense because it's a huge difference in this series. Like, when we played the Pistons, we were like, who's going to really score, especially from 3. outside of like Beasley and Cade, you know. So we were like, oh, let's just guard the paint and we'll stop them. Well, then with the Celtics, we were like, yo, as long as we can guard the three, we can stop them. Indiana can score from anywhere at any given time. They can all shoot the three from their first guy to their bench. They can all drive it in from their first guy to their bench. So if we are having to play catch up defense nonstop, and we're doing this weird switch off where we're not really switching off, but we're also not really like staying with our guys, we're going to get tore up. And the last thing I said was that OG needed to actually play lockdown defense on Pascal Siakam so that Cat doesn't have to be helping, so that like we don't need to leave other players open. And I only saw one of those three in that game. I only saw Mitch play his kind of basketball. I didn't see us guard our players well in the paint or from the three. And I for sure didn't see OG be the lockdown defender that we needed him to be. So what are your guys' initial thoughts on what we saw in that game? What do you think were the main factors that kept us? Obviously, we'll talk about that 2 minutes, but it's not like we were leaps and bounds, you know, like ahead at all points in the game. You know, like there were certain times that it was closer than we wanted it to be. What do you think were the hindrances for us in that first game? I'll go with you first, Ebru.
I don't know, man. This you know, I just think that the Indiana Pacers, they were just like more like locked into me. You know, it seemed like they were just like more like they were like salivating the entire game. You know, and I feel like the Knicks, you know, even though the Knicks were ready themselves too, I just felt like the Knicks were just kind of like doing the boxing thing, waiting to see what Indiana was going to do, waiting for them to, you know, we're just waiting. We seemed like we was waiting for them all game, and then, you know, like you said, down to the 2 minutes, like we waited too much, and then they slipped us. They hit us with the overhead right. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's how I thought the game was. You know, I actually was at Radio City Music Hall to watch the game too, so that was pretty dope. So just conversations with people around me and stuff, the way that people were interacting, just listening to people talk and stuff, like we all having the same kind of reactions and people shouting out different things, man. So, you know, I thought the Knicks were prepared, but we just like, you know, we just kept letting them stick around, and we just didn't like play our game. We were just too busy feeling them out, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And one thing I'll say is, like, to your point about the urgency that Indiana continued to play with, especially as the fourth quarter went, is Josh Hart was I think it was Josh was talking about how they were playing not to lose. Like, they weren't playing to win, they were playing not to lose, you know? So it was like trying to play to just keep the lead, not to, like, you know, not to put your foot on the neck of the person that, you know, is on the ground. And so you can see that they started thinking the game was in the bag too early. And we'll talk about that, because me and my wife and son had a crazy moment when it came to the last 2 minutes of the game. But I'll throw it to you first, Apollo.
Man, I can't point. Okay, I can't point to. I honestly think that, given it being the first game, not knowing how they were going to play us and what schemes they were going to run, I honestly didn't think we did too terrible throughout the game. I think we did a good job, because as long as we don't get down by a lot of points and we have to fight back into a game, I think we're doing a pretty good job. And I think we did a pretty good job. Of course, there were some things here and there that I just didn't like. Mainly it was just defense on certain shots, you know what I mean? And that was the main thing, which led to what happened towards the end. But a lot of miscommunication on defense, and they just got to be sharper. I kind of feel like they came into the game expecting to just have the chemistry, you know what I mean? Like, people, you know, you don't realize that, you know, even though you're a team that has the chemistry, you kind of have to like activate it. It doesn't just happen, you know what I mean? You got to do the right things in order to activate that chemistry that you have. So, you know, and I think a lot of what happened last night will activate it for damn sure. But yeah, man, I just think it was just the defense throughout the game. There were certain situations where I felt like I think their offense could have been a little bit more spread out a little bit. You know what I mean? Everyone touched the ball a little bit more. But I didn't think that was too big of a deal because we were still up. You know, like I said, I truly don't think we played a bad game until the end. You know, like I said, we'll get to that, but there were some things, of course, you can always pick apart some things that you don't like. But if there's one thing for sure that I don't care who you are, you can't be okay with it, is the free throws. You can't miss 12 free throws and expect to, win a
McHale
game.
missed 2 back-to-back at one point.
Yeah, they just weren't there. They weren't. I
Well,
don't think they were.
the only ones he took, actually.
Yeah, like I think at some point I think something happened. I think once Deuce went out the game, I'm not trying to blame Brunson because, of course there would be some blame towards Brunson towards that, but I think just Deuce wasn't so effective offensively, but defensively he was really, really, really good. And I think once he went out the game, I think things started to shift a little bit. And once that happens, and guys start missing shots and the other team is making shots, your chemistry starts to get off and guys don't cover assignments the way they should. So,
with the defense, I just thought that, I felt like the Knicks were like robotic kind of. They were just more concerned with getting to the spot rather than actually there's a man we're actually defending. Like they're too busy trying to make sure that they don't miss the switch. But meanwhile, like even the last play, they got caught in a switch, but they was too busy like, okay, this happened, so I gotta get to my spot.
right.
That just gave the player just enough space for them to do what they had to do throughout that whole sequence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think for me the real frustrating part is, like you said, Apollo, and like some people in the chat are saying, is like for 46 minutes of basketball, you could say you were content with what the Knicks were doing. Like for 46 minutes of basketball, whether there was mistakes or not, you were content. You go down. If you don't say the final score and you just read, okay, OG had 16 points. All right. Josh Hart with 8, but he had 13 rebounds and 7 assists. Cool. Cat had freaking 35, and it was on 65% shooting, like great. Mikal Bridges gave us 16. Okay, could have been a little bit better, but not bad. Jalen Brunson came down with 43. You read those things, and at first you're just like, yeah, this is good. But when you watch those last 2 minutes of basketball, it's kind of like the word "but" in a sentence. Like if you ever hear like, "Yo, you're my guy," but something's happening. Like I love you, but was, hey, hun, what do you think about the meal? I'm like, it's good, but no, the but is going to get you in trouble. Like the but changes everything you said before that sentence. That word but eliminates the whole beginning. So
booty changes everything, man. We're talking about, are we still talking about basketball, right?
Eru strikes again.
Shout out to my guy LS State of Mind coming in to say what's up and distract me from Eru being Eru. Shout out to my guy HRM. But that's the frustrating part. Way Edwards, appreciate you, salute. But that's the frustrating part, is those last 2 minutes erase everything and make you only think of those last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're up 15, right? Check this story out. My wife and son are watching the game with me. My little ones running all over the place, just like, here for a second, God for a second, going off the walls. It was way too late for him. But my wife's like, oh, you guys got this one. Like, we got this in the bag. And I was like, babe, 2 minutes. It's too early. She's like, really? We're up 15. I'm like, babe, in the playoffs, you never take your foot off the gas because you never know what could happen. She's like, no way. Are you serious? You really think and as the points started going, I was like, babe, I told you we don't talk too early. I told you. And she was like, oh my gosh, you are right. Like, this team good enough to know that lead was not secure at 15 minutes with 2 minutes left. And I was like, I've seen too much. Like I've seen too much. Like the Luka moment, where they win that final game. Him hitting it off the rim in that free throw. Like no lead is secure, and to watch it get chipped away, and then see Halliburton hit that shot, and us think it was a three. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, you know what? They are so lucky because now they'll realize that they need to redeem themselves in this overtime. And they didn't. They didn't. Missed shots, missed opportunities. You could tell the team wasn't on the same. You look at the side cameras that show, the arguments that were happening with OG and Cat, and Mikhail trying to come through, and Mitch trying to calm down Cat, and Brunson pretty much standing up and telling Cat to shut up or whatever he told him, with that veracity. There was a lot of miscommunication there, and we were not playing in fluidity. And so I think the frustrating part is I don't really ever see the Pacers, which is something we have to watch. The Pacers always seem activated. Whether they have a good game or not, they seem to be on the same page. That if they fall apart, it's because the team fell apart as a whole, or if they're in sync, it's because everyone was making the same moves, I didn't see that last night from our Knicks in those last 2 minutes and in the final overtime minutes. I hope that we can snap out of it, but there's enough things need to change that we can talk about it. Enough things need to change. So what are you guys' thoughts on those final 2 minutes? Like, is this a team drop the ball? Is this a coach drop the ball? Is this a balance of both? What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I think this is one of those situations where your coach should be able to step in and get guys back on the same page. And I think at some point, I don't want to start pointing fingers because I'm really not. But when the coach put Brunson back in and he takes Deuce out, automatically, the difference in number one, the offense, the defense, obviously. So I think there was a play. I might be mistaken, but I think there was a play with OG. Because when Brunson was on the bench, OG was going off. He was doing his thing, and I think there was a quick clip of him saying, "Pass me the effing ball," or "Give me the effing ball," "Give me the ball," or something like that. And then when Brunson got back on the floor, there was maybe 4 or 5 straight plays where OG didn't touch the ball. So I'm watching that, and I know how it is. I played basketball my whole life. You don't touch the ball, I don't care what's going on. If we're winning or losing, now my mood is off. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't feel a part, and I don't need to score. It's not about me scoring. You know what I'm saying? Me, it was never about scoring. Not that it was never about scoring, because that was all I cared about. But I didn't want the ball to score. I just wanted to feel a part of of the offense. Yeah. That's it. You know what I mean? If I'm working hard on defense, let's all keep being a part of, because I'm also someone that's a team player. If I see someone wide open, I'm gonna pass to him. So, I'm seeing the energy shift, and I'm seeing OG make certain plays, and even when that play with him and Cat, when Pascal sets the screen on him, on Cat, and OG didn't step up, and he was way too far below in drop coverage. And then Neesmith, the same guy who's been making all of these shots in the fourth quarter, he pulls up and just knocks down a 3. And I think at that point, that's where that clip you saw where they were arguing with each other started, because I think he said something to OG, and I think that's what really threw the chemistry off, because it was already on eggshells. And then that was it. I think that's really what made, OG lose it. Because after that, then he makes that play where he throws the ball to Jalen in the corner, and that's when they got the challenge. But immediately when he throws the pass, I'm like, OG is not right now. Something's off, because he threw the ball before Jalen even cleared coming around the corner to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did he throw the ball so hard, so fast? Like, what is going on? And you know, and the way things we just tumbled as a team. Like everything was internal. I don't think there was anything, and I'm not being disrespectful. This might be the fan in me, but I didn't really see much that worried me about Indiana until those last 2 minutes. And that's mainly because the Indiana is the kind of team that they sneak around, they stick around, they wait. They're like hyenas, vultures. They wait until you start to show some signs of weakness, and then they're like, okay, that's time to pounce. That's what they do. That's what they did to the Cavs. That's exactly how they beat the Cavs in a couple of those games. That's just what they do. They know how to linger around. But if you don't show any signs of weakness, you're good.
Yeah.
They don't have enough to just get over that hump. But if you start to show any sign of weakness, they just pounce on it. And Carlisle's a really good coach because he coaches them to do that. That's what he does. So, you know, I think there was just a breakdown of chemistry. These guys weren't on the same page, and there was, you know, a little bit of a chippiness. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm OG and Cat talks to me about defense, come on, I might have a little attitude too. You know what I'm saying? But you know, to each his own. You know, you don't know how guys are gonna react in the heat of the moment when we're already dropping the ball. We were up 8, and now it's a however many point game. And what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But long-winded, but that's just pretty much what I saw. And I don't, it's a coach should be able to step in and get guys back together. Wake up. I understand what you're mad about, but we have a goal. That's it. Let's complete the job. That's it.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that.
So one thing I want to say before I throw it to Iru, that, you know, you were talking about, you know, the how they pounce and stuff like that. I was reading to my boys in their Bible devotional a few weeks ago, and it was crazy because it was talking about a lion. You know, you see a lion on a path, you know, if you're in a jungle and stuff like that. And it talks about your initial thought is to run away from the lion. Like, oh, snap, that's a lion. Like, he's roaring. I need to step back. I need to get away. And it was like, that would be your worst decision, is to run away from the lion, because the lion is there to distract you and make you focus on the lion.
Mm-hmm.
What's really out there is the lioness that you don't catch, who is ready to pounce behind you. And as soon as you show fear to that lion and turn around to go the other way, that's when you get pounced by the lioness. And that is kind of what we saw from the Indiana Pacers last night. Like, we started to look at their star players as those lions, you know, that in those last 2 minutes, we're worried about the roar of Tyrese Halliburton. We're worried about the roar of Pascal Siakam. We turn around and we get pounced time and time again by Nesmith. Like, Nesmith destroys us in those 2 minutes with too many shots open. Like, and if you see a guy who just hit like 3 threes in a row, why is there not someone on him like glue, like the white on freaking rice? Like, if someone just dropped 2 in the last 2 minutes, I'm going to be on white on rice. But yet he continued to have opportunities to empty the clip and hit them and hit them and hit them. So shout out to my guy Lee, because his, you know, prediction for the series was that we needed to make sure that we didn't let Nesmith come out and destroy us. And at first I was like, yo, what does he mean, Nesmith? But he was talking about how he's evolved as such a great corner spot up shooter. Now he's a deadly movement shooter as well. And even when he's contested, he can destroy you. And in game 1, we realized how right Lee was. Nesmith is going to be a problem in this series. If we give him an inch, he's going to take a yard every single time. So, Iru, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, at this point of the year, you know, everybody is who they are. So the Knicks have been playing this way for the entire season, the same way as the Indiana Pacers. You mentioned Naismith. I believe last year Naismith was killing us too. You know, he was getting those pump fakes and driving, getting the mid-range jump shots on us last year. So I mean, he is capable. He's definitely a capable player. You know, definitely got the playoff experience and stuff. But to put blame, to point fingers and stuff like that, I agree with everything that Paulo said. But just to do that, I'm gonna point fingers. I'll point fingers at myself, because and a lot of fans too, like when we were winning, there was literally a point where I shouted out, "We are bussin' day, mother effing!" I was just going crazy, and then somebody behind me was like, "Fuck," yeah, everybody's be mobbing out inside of Radio City, right? So as I'm typing it, because now I gotta type it, so I'm sending it messages to different people. As I'm doing it, I'm hearing Naismith brother, like what the hell? And then it just snowballed, but that snowball feeling with the 3-point shot. I mean, the Knicks let Detroit do that to us. We let Boston do that to us, and then just go through different points of the season. We let a lot of people do that throughout the season, the same kind of way. So, the Knicks just lose the same way all the time. But does that affect us? Affect the ability for us to win or lose a series? No, because I just think this team, how we're successful is just our grit and stuff. To just the Indiana Pacers, they're like, I like the vulture, I like the lioness in the garden type of thing, in the wilderness waiting, because they have that confidence about them. Even Carlisle too, Carlisle's he just kind of like monotone, whatever, but you can see that they have like ultimate freaking confidence. Like at any time they know that they can just get to do whatever. So they were just basically waiting for the Knicks to just fall into what they were doing, and then as soon as they had the opportunity, they just went for it. They turned the afterburners on. They ran up the court, got their jump shots. Even OG had that not OG, OB had that nice little layup, which was pretty incredible underneath the basket.
And a dunk. Like he had 2 impactful buckets on us, in that final stretch of the game.
Yeah. And that's what's it's not scary, but that's something that we can expect from them. So just with the defense thing, I just think the Knicks were like too busy, like not too busy, but I just think that they were so prepared to to get to the assignments that they just forgot what they were doing. Then they just kind of like lost everything. I blame Tom Thibodeau a lot also too, because a lot of times you can call a timeout sometimes, or like as a coach, it's your job to relay messages to different guys, and him taking out Deuce during that time period when we kind of needed a different look at that time, because I mean at that point Brunson already had like 38 points or something like that, so he didn't really need to. We didn't need to give him the ball and tell him to win us the game. We were already winning. Right. So the little things like that is just annoying. It's just not annoying, but like you can basically expect it, because this is what the Knicks have been doing all year. So I mean, for us to lose like that, it's unprecedented. It was something that it's like definitely top 10 like worst moments in Knicks history kind of thing, man. But just judging by how this team has been going their entire season, and how Indiana has been going up until this point, because they've done it to everybody. It's this game has been just basically very consistent for both teams, trajectory or whatever. But that doesn't affect the fact that the Knicks should still win the series though.
And to your point first, it's frustrating because we as fans, if we celebrate early, it doesn't do anything. It makes us maybe look a little bit foolish, but like we're also not getting paid, to play 48 minutes of basketball. Right. We're getting paid to, like
I believe in energies too, though, man. Like I know you're religious and stuff like that, with the power of prayer, the power of everyone, voices together. That's an important thing. So like if everyone believes in something so strongly in one position, you really do have like the power to like affect. At least that's how I believe. You have a power to affect reality.
If that's the case, those guys should know that we all have the power to hate them if they do not win that game. And all the Knicks fans are going to turn on you and celebrate that you played 46 minutes of basketball. Like anyone who's been in a Knicks jersey for more than a week as a player knows that if you play 46 minutes of basketball and not 48, like your celebration is going to turn awry. And that should actually be in the back of your head before you start celebrating. Like at the end of the day, Eru, if you give a woo-ha before it's too late, no one on the subway is mad at you. No one on the subway as you're heading back home really cares that Eru threw up his arm and said, "Hurrah!"
I was mad at myself though, man. You know, as soon as I said it, you know, it's like it was almost like I threw a spell out there or something. As soon as I said it and I started typing it, that's when all hell broke loose, man. So you know,
Yeah.
I
That's
take full responsibility.
see, but
That's
that's why if you notice, like I try not to tweet as much during games anymore for that reason because
yeah,
I don't like looking stupid. If I do tweet anything, I will tweet about something that I don't like. And I'm fine being wrong about that. I would love to be wrong about what I don't like and we still win the game. Cool. Make me look stupid with that. But I'm not jumping out the window and like, yeah, we're going to kill him tonight. Something just told me, relax. This is a long game. And I had a moment just like you, Phil. My wife is laying here. Like I told you, I have the futon in my office. So I'm sitting here watching the game. And my wife is laying here. She's watching the game while I'm sitting here. And my son comes in. I think they're up 5. I think it might be 118 to 128. No, 118. Sorry, 118 to 123. And I think there's like maybe 30 seconds left or something like that. And I'm like, and I'm just stressing. I'm not. There's not a smile on my face. I'm not jumping up and down with joy. I'm like, I don't know. And my youngest, he's 7. The same thing. He's like, they're gonna win this game. They're already up by 5. I'm like, you have a lot to learn. There's a lot of time on the clock.
yeah, man. That's one of my rules too, man. Like I do the same thing. I'll post my frustrations, but I don't, you know, talk junk on in the I just don't do that because that's a
Yeah,
superstition of mine, and I
yeah,
broke one of my superstitions, man. So I feel so bad,
yeah. It's
man.
cool. We needed the Halliburton for his meme because we're gonna run it back all summer long. I guarantee you. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Yo, so before I bring up Nabil to give his take on the final 2 minutes of the game, I just saw a tweet earlier. Obi Toppin was like leaving, and some people were showing him love. You know, like some people had him sign some stuff. He signed some Pacer stuff, some Knicks stuff. As he was leaving, apparently a fan was like, "Yo, Obi, you suck. We got rid of you for a reason. You're lucky." Da da da, like talking mad trash, and Obi, being from New York, was like, "Hey yo, I'm staying at the Ritz. Pull up, talk that talk, pull up." So
Love
shout
it,
out to Obi for still
Brooklyn.
being Obi. It is what it is. Shout out to Julian Bloom in the building. But I'm gonna bring up my guy Nabil before we talk whiskey. And let's hear Nabil's thoughts in the final 2 minutes of that last game. What up, Nabil?
Hey, what's good, man?
What's
Salute,
what's
my
going
guy.
on?
Go, man.
What's going on, everyone? Yeah, I watched the game. I actually missed majority of the game. I was at work and I didn't want to watch it because of the crappy Wi-Fi. But I did manage to catch the final like 8 minutes, so like pretty much the fourth quarter, and it was crazy. Not much to say apart from the Knicks choked it, and I'm sorry to say that, but they did. I wanted them to win, I did, but at the same time, Pacers came in to Madison Square Garden with a goal to win, and they did that. But the series is far from over. There's still plenty of basketball to be played. I still got Knicks in 6, so it could still happen, and it will definitely happen. Hopefully, the Knicks just have to tighten up next game defensively, especially down the stretch, because yesterday's game they left like Aaron Neesmith got like 6 threes, uncontested threes. That has to be tightened up for sure. Um, I wanted to see Deuce play more in that fourth quarter. I felt like this series he's gonna be an impactful player. Oh yeah, I see the comment right here. Brunson destroyed the team chemistry. Yeah, I agree. Even though he had 40 points or what have you, he had a good game. But when he got subbed in, went back in, it went downhill, and unfortunately, they couldn't prevail for the win. But it was a lucky shot from Tyrese Halliburton. I did not expect it to go in, but it did. It was only a 2-pointer. I honestly thought it was a 3. I thought it was the game winner. But you know what? All I can say is move on to game 2. tighten up the defense down the stretch. It's going to be a long series, but I think the Knicks still got it. So that's my little take. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course,
And
always welcome, Nabil. Appreciate you.
oh,
Yeah, good to
Peace,
see you,
man.
man. Good to see you.
thank you. Thank
Yep,
you.
yep.
Bye. Have a good night.
You
Mhm.
too.
You know, there's some things to, you know, I don't feel like you can point it at one person. Like, yes, there were some knucklehead plays by Jalen Brunson. But in that one play where we got multiple rebounds and missed multiple shot attempts, including that open three from Cat, like those are big moment plays, you know, and when you get multiple opportunities to make it on the same possession and you don't, you know, like you're gifting it to a team that is doing everything they can to make sure they don't miss, you know, to make sure that they find the best shot, you know. I think that that's sometimes the difference between how we run our offense compared to a team like Indiana, is they look for the best shot. They look for the player that has the best shot on that possession. Like, of course, Tyrese Halliburton has that golden ticket, you know, to do what he thinks is best. But a lot of times he's also looking for the best shot. I feel like a lot of times our guys are looking for their best shot. And if they don't find their best shot, then they dish it off. Not let's find the team's best shot. Let's find my best shot. And if not, I'll assist it. And so that was a little rough to watch down the stretch. But we're going to take a pause real quick and we're going to talk about this one. So grab that, Mr. Apollo.
Oh,
Guys, guess what has not happened?
yeah.
Eru not
Eru.
Hey,
gotten
man.
off the package yet. So it is still not here. So he is still not joining us. And this one's an unfortunate one for him not to join us. So this right here is from a brand called 15 Stars. They're a fine aged bourbon and it's delicious. This one's called the 13-year Timeless Reserve. And when they had, you know, talked to me about, you know, contributing for the show, I didn't expect them to send this bottle, to be honest. This is not for the person who is not an actual bourbon drinker, because this is a off the shelf or on their website $289 bottle of bourbon. So if you are not huge into bourbon, you're probably not going to lock down a $289 bottle of bourbon. But this one is delicious. It comes in at 103 proof. So this right here is pretty cool. It says that this is bottle 1,053 out of 1,800. So there's only 1,800 of these, and one of them is in my hand, and one of them is on Apollo's sample desk right over there. So super thankful that they sent this one to us. 51.5% alcohol volume, but go straight into the nose. So this right here, there's a lot of whiskey brands that are doing unique and different things, and we talk about them. You know, they finish them in Tokaji casks or in double oak casks or in rum casks or whatever, and all that stuff is great. I love it. But then there's some that they put out a bottle and it's just the classic notes of bourbon done in excellence. And that's what this is right here. This is all the notes that you would want in a bourbon, but elevated, like up to the next level. So this one's got straight caramel, some maple syrup mixed with like hints of like tobacco, and not just like Marlboro Lights or like a Black and Mild, but like, you know, like the kind of tobacco that you go into a store and you're buying like top notch, high quality, expensive, you know, like tobacco that you're going to put into a pipe, and you smell that person smoking that pipe and you're just like, yo, this smells incredible. That's what's kind of on the nose. So you get some of those notes. Sorry, my phone, my computer was about to die. But you get some of those notes, and then you get that oak that you like, a little bit of like leather in there. But the one that seems unique to me is we were in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee a few days ago, and we went to a place called the Apple Barn, and everything is focused on apples. It's got different kind of apple pies, different kind of apple ice creams, different kind of apple candies, Just everything was apple. But the place where you can get their cider and you can smell the different flavors of the apple cider, that's what I get. The little bit of hint that I get up in here, that's the apple cider. So let's go in for a sip, Apollo. Cheers to you. You too, Hero, I guess.
Delicious.
Yo, that's so good. That's so
Wow.
good. So
That's good.
you
It
get
tastes like
vanilla.
$289 damn dollars.
Yep. You get a lot of vanilla on there. You get the oak. The oak is there. You get some caramel, some of that tobacco. But instead of the apple, like just like cider, I'm getting like green apple, like green apples. Like that is.
What are you getting, Apollo? What are you getting out of it? Like you're getting. I can't stop. I gotta keep calm, man.
Nah, you know what it is? He has this thing of like you know what it is like. Whatever he says, you start tasting with whatever the hell he starts saying. So I'm not sure if that's just like a brain trick, or if that's really what I'm tasting. Because I didn't taste green apple until he said it. But it's like it doesn't taste like green apple, but it's like a hint of it. Like I know exactly what he's trying to say. But yeah, that's the caramel, the vanilla. I can definitely, and it's really smooth. It's really smooth. I like that. Like
it sounds like a candy apple. Does it taste like a candy apple?
So candy apple has like an artificial sweetness to it. So it would be more like if you've ever done what we do is like cut up apples, and if you want it to be like a little bit of a sweet treat, you just sprinkle a little sugar on it. So like if you had like a green apple and you sprinkle like a little bit of brown sugar or something like that on it, like that's what it tastes like to me. It's like you get the green apple more authentic, but it's sweet, So
you agree with that, Apollo?
Yeah, all of that.
It's like he's hypnotizing you or whatever.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't want to disagree because I'm not tasting that.
Yeah, I get it. Yo,
I do taste a green apple hint. Like it's weird, and I don't know how to explain it. But when you know how to explain notes in a way that,
Phil,
like Phil,
it's like a whiskey whisperer.
Yeah, because he said he's literally whispering the taste into my ear. I'm like, oh.
You know what Phil should do? Phil should just like bust out and just say like the most disgusting things and see if he tastes it. Just
you know what? I guarantee he's probably done it before to somebody just to see what they said.
Nah, here's the thing: is like we talked with Dixon last week. My goal is never to like persuade. So like when I'm in a group of like developed whiskey drinkers, we'll kind of just throw out notes to each other like, yo, what do you get? And it'll be like one thing each and be like, oh yeah, I kind of get that, or yeah, I don't really get that, but when it's people that were first trying to get into it, it's like, oh, I didn't even know those kind of flavors could exist, because when you think about it, and you're not experienced in whiskey, you're like, but it's just a wood barrel like with some liquid in it. Why would it have hints of fruit? Why would it have hints of marshmallow? Like that's weird. Why would this taste like bubblegum? And so when you don't know that those possibilities are possible from the aging process and from the heat of the fire and stuff like that, of the wood, you're not going to think of those things because it wouldn't make sense, and even if you did, you wouldn't really want to say it. You wouldn't want to be like, oh, this tastes like bubblegum, like, and you're in a room with people and they're like, bubblegum, but like, if you know,
get a load of this idiot,
you would know. So, so this is a delicious pour. Shout out to 15 Stars for sending this out. We absolutely love it. We'll be diving into this more and more with some friends. The finish is great. It's not super long, but it's not short, which is really, really good. You get those hints of caramel still at the end. You get that oak. And then for me, and you might not get this, Apollo, and that's okay. But for me, I saw it, when you hear about a bottle and you get interested in it, people were talking about like a lot of chocolate in the notes. I didn't necessarily get it in the notes, like when I smelt it or when I drank it, but on the finish, I got like chocolate covered raisin. It was like a hint of like a raisinette. And for me, that's my chocolate of choice. Like any movie night, you better believe I got a box of Raisinets. So for me, that was a surprising finish. You know, it was a little bit of like that raisin and chocolate. So to me, if I had to give this a score out of 10, this would for sure be a 9. Like a shout out to 15 stars for a great 13-year bourbon. And the more you age bourbon, some people will say if it's aged more, it's going to be better. No, there's some really like long aged bourbons that just taste like they've been in the barrel for too long. This is not one of them. This is aged perfectly. Like this is a great pour. So shout out to them. I believe it's really worth their $279 dollar price point. A lot of people have a motto that, you know, if you are going to be a, you know, expensive whiskey, it should be anywhere between like $10 and $20 per year of what it was aged. This one to me works. You know, this one to me works. If it was $20 per year that it was made, it would be around that 260 to 270 mark. So shout out to 15 stars. If you guys are bourbon drinkers, do me a favor, check it out. Not everything on their page is $270, so you don't need to worry about that. I'm gonna put a link in there in our chat right now. Check them out. Pick up a bottle of 15 stars. They're delicious. Once you do, post a photo on Instagram or Twitter, tag them, tag us, let them know that the Nightcap sent you. We want them to know that their bottles aren't being wasted here on the show. So let's jump back into it with some of the chat. Smooth Will, appreciate you being here right now. Wingman only scoring 16 points. Yeah, that was Mikhail right there. And OG. It's not ideal. But here's the thing. I'm fine with 16 points if you're playing lockdown, amazing defense. You know, like at the end of the day, that's what we got you here was more so the defense. But if you're not playing lockdown, amazing defense, and then you're only giving me 16 points, that's where I'm going to have an issue, which is what we saw last night. And so a lot of people going back and forth. Fritz said, blow pop green apple.
Fritz. Blow pop green apple.
He said cider donuts are the best. They are. Cider donuts are the jam, to be honest. Not gonna lie. Love some cider. All right. Let's see. Oh, Freezy's in the building. I see what's happening in the street. What up, Freezy? What are you doing, bro? You always invited, bro. I posted the link like 4 times. What you complaining about? Get up here. Come talk your talk, Freezy.
I have Freezy on my show on Tuesday. So shout out to you, Freezy, my guy. Dope show.
Bro.
Dope show.
I posted the link. You know you're always welcome, Freezy. I've been supporting since day one. You know I got love for you, bro. This game will either make or break a team. And from what we've seen, I'm learning the former. So here's the thing. I don't know about you guys. What are you guys' thoughts? But I believe that this next game and that first game in the Pacer Arena, I believe those are necessary. Like, I feel like those are crucial wins that we need to take. Like, I think that if we lose one of those two, it's going to decrease our chances for sure. I think we need to win both of those. I think those are must-win games. What are you guys' thoughts?
I agree with that. I have them winning the next two, losing that. What is that? The fourth game 4, and then I have us winning the next two.
Okay.
You know, so that's how I got us winning 6. Knicks and 6.
So here's the thing: is like we are a better road team for some reason than we are a home team. So I'm hoping and praying that we can take both in Indiana. I think the next two are the critical ones, but you saw, you know, like we just let a huge freaking lead go in the Garden with all of our most loyal, like celebrity fans, like, you know, like watching front row with people spending thousands of dollars to be there, you know? So for me, if we can do that in game 1 in MSG, we could probably do that in game 5 too. So I'm hoping that it doesn't happen that way. I'm hoping we can win the next 3. That would be like my dream. But the next 2 are the most important, in my opinion. Shout out to Ron in the building. Appreciate you, guy. If you guys are not following Still Knicks fans, stop what you're doing right now. Subscribe to their channel. Shout out to my guy, Staten NYK, one of my favorite people on Knicks Twitter. Amazing, amazing dude. Shout out to him. Appreciate you for being here. But Apollo, I'll let you give your thoughts. And then our guy Sky is in the building. So I'm going to bring him up after your take.
This guy has some good whiskey stuff. He was talking bourbon in the chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he doesn't do tasting notes, so I'm gonna challenge him on that. Not to just drink it, but to enjoy it and let me know those tasting notes.
This one thing, if there's one thing Sky knows, is alcohol. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Does he know the effects or does he know the taste? That's what we're gonna talk about.
We'll talk about it later. So anyway, I think we have one of these games every series. I think we do it every series. There's one, hopefully not two games, because if there's two, then it goes 6. But there's at least one of these games every series, and I kind of compare game 1 going into game 1 to game 5 of the Celtics series, because that was the first time we got to play them that series, and we did not know how they were going to play. And I think that also tied into the way that game went. Of course, it was at their, at TD Garden, and the refs, however they did to Jalen and all of that with the 5 fouls. But, I knew that it was going to be hard for them to just come in and win that game, because they didn't know how they were going to play. They wouldn't obviously play a completely different brand of basketball with Jason Tatum not in the lineup for the entire game. But they had to see it in order to react to it. And like I said last time we were on, is Tibbs is really, really good at game-to-game adjustments, but in-game adjustments is what he struggles with. So we have those games because it's an in-game thing that can't be fixed sometimes with Tibbs, which, it's the good and the bad that you get with certain things. And with Tibbs, that's one of those things. Kind of like people were mentioning earlier when they were in the huddle and they were arguing, like you didn't even see Tibbs say anything to anybody. Like Jalen had to step up, and you had Mitch trying to hold guys back. Like you didn't see the coach in there at all. So there's just an adjustment kind of thing. I'm still pretty confident that we got these guys in 6, maybe even 5 games, because like I said, I didn't see anything that the Pacers did that scared me outside of them just lingering around and waiting for us to give them the game. So I just feel like there's certain things that Tibbs sees. He studies tape a lot. He's going to see these things and he's going to react to them. It's just like, the game where Cat is in drop coverage versus Celtics, and then the next game, all of a sudden, it's like it kind of changes right away, immediately. So I kind of expect us to do better. But, I don't think this team, I don't think they can guard us, if I'm just being honest. Once you see Cat hitting four threes in one game and he hit 3 in the last series, I was like, okay, that's something that he's going to game plan for as well. So, I just feel as though we saw something we didn't want to see. It was a monumental collapse. Brunson didn't see what was happening when it was happening. There was another play. I'm sorry, long-winded. I have to mention it because it pissed me the hell off. It was a fast break. We were up 4. I think 125, 129. I mean, it might have been overtime. We're in a fast break. I think Josh Hart throws it to Jalen. Jalen goes up, and it's the play where he gets blocked, where we later find out that it was a goaltender. On that play, I think OG or McCall, it might have been OG. Somebody was on the left of him, and it was just one of those plays. It's one more pass, and that's just the chemistry that you need. Just these things that add chemistry throughout a game. And I feel like if you just made that one pass, just that one pass right there, now we're up 6. And now they got to score on us in a half court. Instead, Jalen gets blocked. They scramble on defense. Nembhard hits a 3, and now we're only up 1 instead of being up 6. And it's sometimes it's those plays that frustrate me. There's a lot of other stuff that you guys have been talking about in the chat that are really, really good, but it's those kind of plays, those momentum plays that really bother me about what sometimes Jalen does, and he doesn't see those. So if he can figure those plays out, which he usually does, like I said, he has one of these games where he's selfish every series, and then he's like, I got to be better. He's, come on, it's like clockwork. He does it every time. I got to be better, and he's better. He comes out and he's better. So I expect us to still finish this series strong.
So the one thing I'll say what you said, I too have not seen anything from Indiana that scares me.
Mhm.
The difference is I've seen things from us in that
That's
first
good.
game that scare me. You
Right.
know, like
Nemhard's mustache. What's up with Nemhard's mustache, bro? He looks weird. He looks like a catfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, he looks like a dead catfish. Yeah, he's bugged
like
out.
I like I've been saying since the game got over. The frustrating part, I'm fine losing to a better team or an equally good team that played well. What I'm not fine with is losing, and the reason we lost is that we defeated ourselves. Like we played
Mhm.
ourselves into a defeat, and that's the frustrating part. And now we'll bring up Sky. What up? What up? What up?
You're
It's good.
what up?
Good, guys.
Thanks
What's
for
up,
having
man?
me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Um, my take on that game, we got to find better shots. We just keep going for the first available. It's not even the first best shot. They just take the first available shot and they're killing themselves. If you watch the first half of that game into the second half of the game, it was just whoever got the ball and was ready to shoot was shooting. And
Mhm.
we're our own worst enemies. Like we were killing them on defense throughout the game, and then we let up on the D and just let them rock. And they kept firing off with Naismith.
Mhm.
Naismith, I don't think is going to have a game like that ever again. I think that was a one-off game, and I'm really not scared for him dropping 18, 20 points in the series again.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think he's going to have those one or two off threes, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's the type of player he really is. I don't think that's his caliber. So I'm not scared of him in the future. I think we need to close this series out in 5 or 6. I think if we go 7, we've got a problem. They're going to wear us out. They're going to run us down. It's going to be a run and gun game, and they've got a deeper defense, deeper bench than what we've got, and we don't rotate our players enough.
Nope.
And I agree with you. I would say even which is why I'm so frustrated with us losing that game is the longer we play the Pacers, the less chance we have of putting them away
Mhm.
Yep.
because we're going to get exhausted quicker than they are. We are going to have our legs fall out from under us quicker than they are. Like they are a young team, and this is what they do. Like it's not like they're learning how to play a fast-paced offense for the series, you know, or having to like it's what they've done since the first game of the season. This is who they are. So I think, in my opinion, if we lock it down, we need to lock it down in 5. If it goes 6, we better not play with our food in any way, shape, or form. Like,
Mhm.
do not
Yep.
take your eyes off the plate. Like, always have a fork in your hand because if we get even close to a game 7, it's playing and flirting with disappointment. Like, and to actually, like, I don't even want to think about having to like talk about losing a series the second year in a row because I've only been talking about how they only won that series because we were unhealthy last year, you know?
Mhm.
And so if they prove us wrong and defeat a healthy New York Knicks team because we don't know how to play as a unit and we don't know how to like lock things down and we play around too much, that's going to be a humbling experience as a New York Knicks fan, to say the least. So I hope that we can lock it down in 5. 6 needs to be the last. People that are saying Knicks in 7, I'm not hoping for that. I'm not
Mhm.
hoping for that opportunity to have to go 7 with them.
The way Indiana talks junk too, because they'll remind you to, yo, you're getting tired, right? You know, that's how they talk junk. Even in the post game, the way they would cut their energy, that they just have like a giddy kind of like energy, like they know that they know exactly like what you said, that if they keep the pace up, the Knicks are not gonna be able to keep up with us, and we're eventually gonna overtake them. That I think they believe that because their energy suggests so.
What we need to do tomorrow night, we got to shut Halliburton down. We got to leave him under 10 points and show dominance over him. He's got an ego like no
Mhm.
other. He came out with that bullshit Reggie Miller
Yeah,
choke symbol, and I wanted to fight him.
We
I
all
was ready
did.
to
he couldn't
square up with
wait.
We
him.
all did. We all
He
did.
couldn't wait to pull that out though. You know, he was waiting to
Like,
pull that out.
we need to
Yeah.
dominate, win by like 20, 30 points, and shut him down to nothing. So
Mhm.
be like, who's choking now?
Yeah.
And then we got to run with that series.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And that's the thing is like, I saw Sure when he said if you give Neesmith room, he will murder you. Like he's got a great 3-point shot. He used to be the corner guy, and now he's the I can catch and shoot pretty much from anywhere. And so my thing is like, what the Knicks need to realize is like, we can't rely solely on our 2 all-stars. Like we just can't. Like the reason we went so deep in our pockets to get the starting lineup that we did was to have a full-on starting lineup that can kill you at any point in time.
Yeah.
But if we're not utilizing those guys, what is the point? Like they're willing to take it out of Halliburton's hand, who's their number 1. They're willing to take it out of Miles Turner's hand, who's their number 2, and rely in the fourth quarter on Neesmith, who's like what, they're 4, like, and so the fact that that team can put confidence and empower the other guys on their lineup is something that the Knicks need to do. Jalen Brunson needs to encourage and empower his other guys. Karl Anthony Towns need to do the same. They need to figure out how to not be so individually minded. Now is the time to play like a basketball team. Now's the time to utilize each and every person's strengths, because Indiana is going to do that. Indiana is going to find every single person that they can. They're going to utilize their strengths. Carlisle's going to use the bench to improve on what the starting lineup is doing. Like we talked about those 2 Obi Toppin points that were just like daggers in the heart yesterday. You don't think Obi Toppin's loving every single minute of this, like being able to have impactful minutes against the coach that didn't want him to play. Like he's going to take every opportunity he can to make Tibbs feel those minutes that he plays. So
yeah, 10 rebounds too. Obi had 10 rebounds.
Yeah,
I was about to say we're playing soft in the paint. Like we don't have anybody that's dominating the paint right now. Cat is backing off and falling back, and then we're catching fouls because we're not really holding it down when we need to.
Yeah,
we're taking shots with nobody in the post. What are we doing? We got 2 center forwards. We don't have a true center, and we don't have a true distributor. We got nobody that's really running the court and with good court vision and distributing the ball to who needs it at that point in time. I think we need a true point, and I think we need a true center. And I think you play Mitch as a 4 and Cat as a 4 with a true center in there, and we're playing a different game.
Indiana has guys that cook too. They like Tom, this guy TJ McCollum, he got busy for a hot second. We couldn't really contain him. This guy Benedict Mathurin, he got cooking a little bit. Even we were talking to Nemhard. Nemhard at the end he got off a little bit too down the stretch. So I mean the Knicks don't really have that. This guy Deuce, he might have did whatever he did, but there was like every time he touched the ball, I felt like I just wanted him to pass it. He was just holding that ball way too much. He doesn't have a bag like some of these other guys do. They have moves where they can get to the basket and score. So that's the next problem, man. But this is the team we got, So
I'm okay.
No, go Apollo, go.
No, it's just my thing about sometimes is we don't have like a rim attacker besides OG. OG's like the only guy that really puts pressure on the rim. There's no one who like from the 3-point line from the top of the key, you have to worry about attacking the basket outside of OG in terms of like a strong attack or dunk, I would say. I mentioned last show that I don't think Mikal took a free throw the entire Celtics series. He doesn't look for contact. That's just not his game. He's going to fade away in that mid-range most of the time, even if he does have the lane. But a lot of times he only goes up if there's no one there. Like if he does go up, it's the up and under. Like he's not going up with contact for any layup at all, unless he completely has to it, final second kind of situation. But there's no one that really attacks the basket like that outside of OG and Jalen. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. So it's kind of tough. Getting to the line is really tough with these guys, especially because of the way that the refs call the game, and you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, I still believe with all of everything that we've said today, we still had a chance to win that game, and we gave it up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We did all of the things right or wrong, and we're still up by 8-9 points with a minute to go. So
Yeah.
uh
It's frustrating because we were the better team. Like for 46 minutes of basketball, we
mhm,
were the better team. And at the end of the day, it's on us. We
yeah.
we let it slip. But one thing I want to talk about, Joe was, had a question to Sky, like, what do you mean we don't have a legit center? We do in Mitch, but here's the problem: is where we really need the legit center is a lot of the minutes that Mitch isn't playing right now. Like he's
Mm,
playing alongside a lot of their bench center minutes, like he's not guarding the Miles Turners. He's not out rebounding the Miles Turners, like, and so when you have overlap minutes of where he is with those guys, that's fine. But a lot of the time, he's not in that game playing with those guys. He's playing with their bench unit.
mhm,
And so that brings the question Ian Begley actually posted, where Tibbs said in his post-game interview, when they were asking him about the starting lineup, like, do you need to make changes? He said everything is always on the table. When asked about possibility of changing the starting and closing lineups. And so we know what the starting lineup's been so far. Um, with Tibbs actually addressing that it is up for change, would you change the starting lineup? Like, would you throw Mitch into that starting lineup? Like here's the thing: is one, I love Josh Hart, but he wasn't really everything we needed him to be in that first game. We saw hints of him playing in Boston well, and then hints of him not doing so well in Boston series as well. Like, would he fare better in this round of the playoffs coming off the bench and giving us a spark off the bench to help McBride, facilitate that and grab some rebounds against some of their less, productive board getters, like, because he's an elite rebounder for his size. Maybe, putting him to the bench makes him gobble up those rebounds a lot more than he is right now. And does that give us the opportunity to consider Towns having more flexibility to do what Sky said and run the offense through Cat sometimes, where it's not constantly having to be Jalen Brunson dribbling? Like, we can run some plays where Cat is the one that's in control of the offense because he doesn't have to be in the center guarding the paint, and trying to hold it down there, and we're able to leave that to Mitch. So what are your guys' thoughts on switching it up and having a different starting lineup? What are your thoughts, Eru?
I mean, Mitchell Robinson, everybody knows I have a problem with the way that he plays and stuff. But like you said, it's he's bringing something to the table that we just don't have when he's not there. But one thing that I just want to say is that people want to talk about his switching. That's become the big part of the conversation. But we really just need him to play center. We don't need him to do the switching. And by starting him, you change the starting lineup. Now you got him playing center stuff, and then you can let the other guys that are supposed to do the switching on the perimeter, let them do that, and then Mitch can handle the business on the inside, which is the rebounding, the dirty plays, the diving on the floor for loose balls and stuff like that. That's where we really could really use, what he brings to the table, and let the other guys on the perimeter, the wing stop guys, let those guys do the wing stop things, and then allow like you said, allow Anthony Towns to possibly open up the game a little bit. But we at this stage now too that it starts to get iffy if we start changing stuff at this moment. So just it's really good. Like throughout the game, we should implement these looks. But right now, I think the Knicks could still win without having to be so drastic. As far as changing lineups and stuff. But just definitely try to incorporate some of these things throughout the game a little bit more closely.
I
Yeah.
think a dominant starting lineup for us would be Bridges at the 1, Brunson at the 2. The 3, you can either do Hart or OG. 4, you got Cat, and 5, you got Robinson. You play it like that, and we're coming out strong. And then you got to rotate the guys out so they're not getting burnt out, and they got energy to close the game out as well.
Yeah. And here's the thing is people are like, yo, after one game. No, I'm not saying after one game we need to change it. Like, I brought this up in the Boston series. Like, should we consider changing it? I even brought it up in the first round of the series based off of the bigs that Detroit had. Like, we are playing some teams that actually like have bigger talented guys, and I feel like with Mitch's ability to move now, like he was a little bit clunky before. Like, he looks a lot more agile now than he did. And that's something that I'm very happy about. But I feel like his physicality could limit the Miles Turner, effectiveness in a game. I feel like Mitch can lock down Miles Turner the same way that he locked down Jared Allen 2 years, last year when he was part of that series. So for me, I feel like Mitch would bring something defensively that would allow Cat to play more so his style of basketball, where he doesn't have to be the dominant defender, because he's not, and so I personally, don't think that it's a must to change, but I also think that we should always consider things. Like, for me, I feel like if something's not 100% a guaranteed like way of doing things, I have no problem experimenting with something else to see if there's something better out there. That's always how I've run my business, is like, okay, we're doing well, but are there margins to do things better? And if there's a margin to do things better, I won't know unless I try it. If I try it and it doesn't work, so be it. But at least give it a shot. Like, you could throw Mitch in for a starting lineup for like 3-4 minutes and be like, nope, this isn't working, and switch it out, But the what ifs is what I never like about the New York Knicks a way of doing things, is we always leave and go, but what if we tried this? What if we did this? How many content creators have said, but we always said, what if we saw Obi Toppin and Julius Randle small ball moments? What could that have been? There's always that what if. Both of those guys are gone. We'll never get those answers because we never tried it. So what are your thoughts, Apollo?
I think I don't think we should change anything at this moment. I don't see why. So I wouldn't mind seeing him trying different lineups. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think starting. I think starting, there's a little bit of chemistry with how they flow. I wouldn't mess with the starters in terms of that, because I think that there's spacing that guys get with Cat there that they would not get at all with Mitch there. So I do think that, yeah, maybe earlier you throw Mitch in for Cat for Josh, or Mitch in for just Josh or OG. Like, you throw Mitch in for Josh or OG, and then you run Cat and Mitch next to each other, and you just see what you can get out of it. And if it's prosperous and if it's working, then you keep going to that. But in terms of, I wouldn't change the starting lineup, because I do think there's a certain aspect to the chemistry that they have as a unit and spacing with Cat on the floor that they just will not have with Mitch. And unless you're using Mitch as a serious lob threat, he kind of doesn't help you on offense in a way, because he's not going to really take the ball and do anything besides for grabbing rebounds. So it's, there's some help that Mitch does bring you, but then he limits your offense because now you don't have the spacing, because guys can leave him and help out on Brunson when he gets to the mid-range and things like that. So I wouldn't change the lineup, but I would try different lineups throughout earlier in the quarter, instead of waiting to like the 6-minute mark, and like, or even the 4-minute mark. Like, at the 8-minute mark, like, just see what you can get out of it, and and also what that does is it gives guys the ability to be fresh throughout the game. You know what I mean? If you continue to do that. But yeah, that's just how I feel on that.
Yeah.
The frustration with the coach, and that's a big conversation too. Like, we're winning also, so now we shouldn't fire Tom Thibodeau because we made it so far. But the frustration goes to the beginning of the season when we traded for Karl Anthony Towns. Like, we knew that possibility. We wanted to keep Mitchell Robinson around, keep him healthy, so eventually in the playoffs he'll be there. So if that was the case, why did we not try to experiment in the beginning of the season? Because we did have Jericho Sims. Even though Jericho Sims is trash, whatever you want to say, he still is a center prospect that we could have started with Cat and experimented, and during the times when we should have experimented.
Mhm.
The experimenting time, it's kind of not right now. We can give looks now, but as far
Yeah.
as like full blown changes, it's like
Mhm.
kind of out of our hair right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's what frustrates me, with this conversation, because it's like, like I just said, it's just like you're just thinking about it all year. Like, why didn't we try this look, before? Because by now we will at least would know what works, and not just we know what works. The team itself would just have the confidence knowing that when this lineup comes out, we know how to function like this. At that point.
All right, so real quick, great take. David Smith, bro, you are all up in your feelings in the chat right now, my guy. I appreciate you. All right, if you need a hug, let me know. I'll send you an electronic one. No one here is saying Cat is the reason that we lost that game at all. Matter of fact, most of us have talked about like how all 46 minutes of the game we were content with how our team played, and there were moments that Cat and Brunson both dropped the ball in those last 2 minutes. The fact that Cat was on the sidelines crying because he missed that free throw, like homeboy felt the weight of his mistakes. So we're just calling it as it was. Brunson screwed up a catch of a pass. Brunson threw up a shot that was absolutely horrible. There were things in that last quarter and in that OT that most of our starting lineup were the reason that we lost. At the end of the day, who cost us the game was our 5 guys in our in our closing lineup that allowed Neesmith and the Pacers to narrow down a 15-point lead in 2 minutes. That's not a Cat thing. That's an everybody thing. So that's all of those guys. Each and every player is a reason for it. Because if you look at the score, what did we lose by 2?
I don't even know. I turned it off.
We
Once?
lost by 3.
Lost by
3.
3? Yeah.
So we lost by 3. So those missed Brunson free throws, that missed Cat free throw, all those things matter. Like all those things matter. So no one's calling out Cat and saying Cat sucks, trade Cat. Like Cat played a great game of basketball offensively. Like okay defensively, not great, but we know he's not a great defender, but we gave Cat his flowers. But we're calling the game exactly the way that it was. Cat is not without criticism because he is not flawless. Okay. When Cat comes and he starts walking on water and like feeding the 5,000 with, like with 2 fish and 2, like loaves of bread, then I'll not give him criticism. But until he pulls that off, he is not off the table when it comes to criticism. Every single player will get it if they do something that cost us the game.
He just wants us to tell. He just wants us to tell everyone his points.
Well,
I appreciate you being a fan, my guy.
That's exactly what he said too in the chat. And plus, look at it. His avatar is literally
Cat.
Carl Anthony Towns. So you already know the vibes with that already.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Closing thoughts. I know Apollo's got to go. I want to go spend some time with my wife and have some dinner because I
haven't even seen my family, man. I just came right into the room.
My wife.
My kids were asleep when I came home, and now they're probably in bed. So,
yeah.
My wife was at the grocery store, so I haven't hung out with her. So, what are your guys? Give me one thing. We'll bounce it around, and then I'll close it out. One thing you want to see in this next game to make sure that we grab that W. I'll go with you first, Apollo.
Camaraderie. That's it. Yep. Because if you guys stick together, then you don't have that collapse at the end of the game. If they don't have that collapse at the end of the game, we're talking about one of the best games we've seen out of Cat and Brunson in the playoffs. Together as a tandem. You know what I mean? And even the way we played all around and stayed up, and of course, there's always going to be something that you can complain about. But if we stick together and we play defense as one and not pointing fingers and being mad at this guy or that guy, you know what I mean? I think we definitely can win this series a lot easier than it looked last night because we were together for 3 quarters. And then some moves were made and things happened. But I think if guys are, including Jalen, like I said, he has one of these games every series where he gets selfish he notices it. He does pick up on it when he's definitely doing something selfish. He calls himself out every single time he does it. I gotta be better. He says it all the time, and then he comes back and he's better. And the first time he did it was in the Pistons series. The last time he did it was in the Celtics series, and we are now in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I expect him to be better and to be a captain, lead the team the right way, and I expect the coach to make the adjustments that we should have seen last night throughout the game.
All right, bet. All right, Sky. One thing that you want to see to make sure that we secure the victory in this next game.
I want to see him slow it down and take smarter shots. We took a lot of the first available shot and we had a lot of misses. We could have dominated that game by a lot more if we took smarter shots and weren't always just going for the open three or the available three and the first available shot that somebody could take.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Eru, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that stuff too, man. Both of you guys made good points. I like to slow it down point too, because there was some points where the Knicks were just going too fast for no reason. We're looking like, yo, are we winning? Why are we what are we doing? Like, calm the hell down. But they're gonna, people were, some people were complaining that the Knicks had did like a who did that? Kmart said they had a team meeting before the last game or whatever. Come on, man. This is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to have team meetings and discuss stuff and watch tape and stuff. So just with all that being said, Tom Thibodeau is the king of that. Brunson and these guys, all they do is talk about tape. They need to look at it and whatever. So I think that they will do that, and they're gonna show up the next game, and then it's gonna be. I'm expecting the opposite of what happened in game one when Indiana came out smoking. I think the Knicks are going to pounce on them, not necessarily being perfect, but I think we're gonna pounce on them from the get go. And then, like Sky said, I think that lead will balloon into the 20s in that second game, and I'm hoping that the Knicks will have their first game where everybody gets everybody eats, and we finally have a complete game and we smoke these guys. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. All right, so I'll close out with one thing I want to see. I've said this for the last 3 years. My favorite Knicks games are where we see 30 plus assists. That's when you see the best kind of Knicks basketball. Usually around 32 to 35 assists is when you start seeing the Knicks at their prime. And unfortunately, we saw it at about 26 yesterday. And I think a lot of that was in those last 2 minutes where instead of realizing, okay, they're trying to catch up, how do we do this as a team? It was individual players trying to figure that we kept the game as ours. And what happened? We wound up losing, So for me, I think it's got to be an assist game. It's got to be everyone touches it. Everyone gets the opportunity. Everyone gets the best shot for our squad. When this New York team loses their individual identities and starts being just a New York Knick identity and actually focuses on being one unit, that's when you're going to see us at our prime. I don't even know if we'll see that this year. But if this team stays intact as it is, that's the goal to hopefully see next year is more egos and individuality kind of strip away and focus more on one unit. But that's what I'm hoping to see for this next game is more assists, more playing for each other, playing for the city, playing for the team, the fans that believe in you. And hopefully we get that victory. The last thing I want is to lose 2 in the Garden. So Jalen, Cat, OG, whoever's listening, I know y'all watch this stuff. Love you, love your fans. Sacrifice your pride and win this one for us. So that's my final
Tibbs for
thought.
sure. I think Tibbs for sure is watching these podcasts.
Oh yeah,
man.
oh yeah. Tibbs ain't got no wife, no girlfriend, no nothing. He just watches Knicks content creators all day.
And a wife beater and some tighty whities. That's what I think.
Yo,
Sleep with it running.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this live, Tibbs. If you're watching this episode, y'all can tag Tibbs if y'all post this. If we make it to the finals, me and you, we've had our issues through the years. I will do a jersey swap with you. All right. I'll give you a Porto jersey. You give me a Tibbs jersey. We'll do it in the center of New York City. It'll be beautiful. All right. So shout out to everyone in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Shout out again to 15 Stars Bourbon. Appreciate you guys sending in this delicious, beautiful bottle, this timeless reserve, this 13-year. If you guys can, please follow them, subscribe to what they're doing, support them, pick up a bottle at your local store. And next week, Thursday's a game. So we will not be meeting on Thursday. We will move it again to Wednesday. So
Wednesday.
next Wednesday, 8:00 p.m., we'll lock in. Sky, appreciate you. You know, you're always welcome. So hopefully you come back up next week. Great takes. We appreciate you, my guy. The
Peace,
rest of
God, bro.
Yeah,
God
good stuff,
bless.
man.
Drink responsibly, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Appreciate y'all.
Peace.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same